Hello everyone, welcome back. And we're happy today to have Dragonfly again with a session about the basics of burnout. And I think all of us are currently suffering from that. And today we have Jelena with us. And without further ado, I'll hand you the floor, Jelena.
Thank you very much for hosting this session, and thank you for having this little collaboration with Dragonfly. I know that you already had one previous workshop on mentoring, and then one more on imposter syndrome is coming. So I just want to express my gratitude of having this chance to work together, and especially Verena from sustainable leadership that connected us. So yeah, I hope many other projects may further come in the future. But now let's get to today's talk. It is something that is probably very familiar and close to all of us in graduate education, and also something that we hear a lot also in a public discourse. So let's kind of take a little bit deeper look. What do we know so far, and maybe what are some of the ways how we can support ourselves. All right, is it working? Okay, so first I just want to emphasize something that Dragonfly Mental Health that I am representing today, and that created this workshop and this talk is not a mental health provider, and all the information that we give today are meant as an educational resource and maybe inspiration for somebody if they recognize the symptoms to seek for medical advice from the medical professionals in your local city. So with that, I am just gonna show you briefly what we're gonna talk about today. I'm gonna present just a brief about myself, about the Dragonfly, and we're going to spend most of the time talking about the burnout, and then also to see how it compares with depression and anxiety. And I hope in the end we have time for nice group discussion. My name is Jelena Brasanac, and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Charité University Hospital in Berlin, in Germany. I'm also one of the co-founders of Dragonfly Mental Health, together with Wendy Ingram. Here I also listed what are my interests in my research. So I work in this field, so-called biological psychiatry, and what I try to do is to investigate interaction between psychiatric symptoms and the immune system. I'm also passionate about working on clinical trials, so something that can be the most close to people and to delivering help and novel treatments that especially psychiatric population need. And then also I am investigating altered states of consciousness, especially from a non-pharmacological point of view. So engaging like a breath work to check if this can also be a novel therapeutic treatment that can support mental health. So here are the ways that you can also reach out to me if you're interested, either regarding Dragonfly or some of the research that I'm doing. So when it comes to Dragonfly, just briefly to introduce that we are a nonprofit that is functioning globally, and we were co-founded in April 2020, we are organization that is kind of academics by academics for academics, because we think that we actually know the best, the system that we're all in, and know the struggles of the academic life, and then engaging all our research experiences, we try to find the best possible solutions, or at least the ones up to date. And here you can see photos of some of former members or current members or volunteers. And here's the number that says that more than 300 people at some shape or form were engaged with Dragonfly throughout all these years and volunteering with their time and efforts, all in this wish to support mental health in academia. So that means that there is quite a lot of people who are passionate about this topic, and we are happy to engage with all of them. So what Dragonfly does, there are three kind of key areas that we focus on, and one is education, and this is also something that we are doing today. So we deliver different programs. So they are online or in-person events, and they're used to enhance our skills, increase the knowledge, and also train different skills to support mental health. And also we develop anti-stigma campaigns. What we also try to do is to build community of people who are interested in mental health in academia. And then also what we want to do more in future is to conduct research, actually, to get to the reasons, the scope, the causes and solutions of mental health crisis in academia. And here just like briefly, how big is our reach? So in these 4 years that we are operating, we delivered more than 200 programs, so different talks, workshops, and like, for example, podcast appearances or something like that, which reached more than 25,000 academics in over 17 countries. And all of this, I think, is telling us that there is quite some interest in the programs that Dragonfly is delivering, and that the whole academic community actually is a place where we can work to improve the mental health of academics. So now I just wanted to, oh, do I have it? So I just wanted to use this Mentimeter where we can maybe interact a little bit, and by scanning this QR code, you can get to answer this question. Let me see if it works, because usually I should have like a little button to set this in motion, but maybe you can try and let me know if scanning the QR code and answering the question. I just wanted to check how is everybody feeling today, and then have this answer something in a little cloud. But let me see if this is working.
Would it be possible to paste the link in the chat?
Let me see, because I have just QR code here. But if you go to this menti.com and put the code, then you can also access this. Can you maybe try to enter it, and then we can see if it works? Yeah. Because there are a few questions, and I would be happy if we can at least a little bit interact in this way. Right, I see more answers coming, so I guess it starts to work. All right, and I'm gonna check it. Okay, I see now in the chat. Okay, maybe just go to menti.com and then use the code 33702. All right, but from the 6 people that I could see, the responses, content, hopeful, but also tired and overwhelmed. Yes, I feel you.
I was able to get the link, and now it's in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jelena.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, perfect.
So
Okay.
for those who couldn't, scan the QR code, the link is in the chat now.
Okay, let me just see how many people we have in total. All right. Okay, around 20. Okay. Maybe you can also give me a thumbs up if 12 is total number of people who can connect. All right, somebody's joyful. This is very nice to hear. All right, so is link working for everybody, or maybe you can just give it like a thumbs up, or oops. Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. All right, then, okay, now I'm seeing more answers. Perfect. Overwhelmed too, yes, especially I guess in this time of the year where academic season is kind of getting again restarted and more events are coming. I can also feel this for myself. Feeling awesome, feeling cool. Oh, I love this. I hope we get a bit of that energy. Great and grateful and good. Yeah, we definitely need more of that. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, let me see the next one. And now I wanted to see where are you guys from? Exactly which city are you connecting from? Which country? I think that the same link should be working. It's just like the next slide, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's the same link. Anyways, I've just pasted it into the chat.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, Alexandria, Egypt, Gambia, Nigeria, Banjul, West Africa, Ethiopia. Wow, this is so amazing. I think this is one of the first times, actually last time with mentoring workshop, that was the first time that we delivered some program somewhere in Africa. So this is really great to see, and like really great pleasure for us to be able to reach out outside of the Western Europe and just US. All right, Burkina Faso, Sudan, Rwanda. Wow, amazing. Thank you all guys for joining. I hope this also could be useful. Also for some future engagements. We deliver a lot of programs online, so just be free to reach us. All right, goes the next one. So now I just would like to see, which stage of your academic career you are, who's a master student, maybe PhD researcher. Are there some postdocs or maybe even like professors in this audience? All right. Master and PhD, I guess that will probably be the most of our audience today.
Well, people are answering that. I remember I had a discussion with Verena, I don't know if you remember, she had like this survey for postdocs.
Yeah.
She was trying so hard to get people from Africa to describe their postdoc experience. So what I told her is, we don't like, postdoc is not a thing for us in Africa. Yeah, like if you do go for a postdoc, it will probably be like in Europe or in America. But within Africa, we don't have that much postdoc. But it's nice to see the two are postdocs.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
so how is the system that after PhD can people get like a permanent job if they do not go to like somewhere abroad? How is the system then?
Usually, specifically talking in Sudan,
Mm-hmm.
you usually do your master's and PhD if you are already appointed at the university. So like sort of the university gives you a scholarship to study your master's and PhD, and then you have to stay with the university for double the time that you spent doing your master's and PhD. Yeah, so postdocs, especially in Sudan, they're not that common.
Yeah.
Not that common, yeah.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah, it definitely each country has like a little bit maybe different system. Postdocs are very common in Western Europe and in US, but also where I'm originally from Serbia. This is like Southern Eastern Europe. There also that postdoc phase or postdoc as a title is not so common. Usually if people stay at the research institute, they get these permanent positions. So the thing is that also there they kind of get appointed for like a longer term, and here in Western Europe and US, those are these very short term contracts before you reach opportunity to maybe become a professor.
Permanent, yeah.
So yeah, and here we don't have these permanent contracts. But yeah, I'm also familiar with a little bit different system that's kind of a back in the southern Eastern Europe. So yeah, that's interesting to see. That's why this kind of a research experience is very different, because the environments are different.
Yes, very different, definitely, yeah.
All right. Okay. So yeah, then we have like mostly master and PhD researchers, and even two postdocs. Maybe somebody who's more senior can be characterized as a postdoc. Sometimes the title is not the same, but kind of the job that you're doing is more or less that. And even one professor. All right. So nice. Thank you, guys. I appreciate just knowing who is the audience. All right. Then we come with the next question. How do you feel at the end of the working day? Do you feel like tired and worn out, overwhelmed? So maybe no, or sometimes, or most days of the week. Can you share with us? All right. Oh well, most days of the week. And sometimes. All right. Nobody who is feeling just perfectly good every day. Yeah, that would be amazing, you know. But yeah, it seems that most of the days of the week is the most common answer, or sometimes, which really shows that everybody faces struggles most of the time, and that the workload is usually pretty high. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody is kind of spared from being tired, being exhausted, at least sometimes. Yeah. All right. And now the question about the relationship with other people, with people from your work. Do you find this to be friendly or unfriendly or detached from people or activities at work. Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes no. Yeah. And probably nice thing to reflect is actually, when is this happening? Is this unfriendliness and detachment actually happening at the time where you are the most, tired and overwhelmed and also worn out from all the duties? This is maybe the invitation to reflect on that, because they actually can be very much connected. All right, and I think this is the last question for now, for this round of introduction. How do you feel at your work in terms of accomplishments? Do you feel accomplished and satisfied with most of the days or the week? All right, okay, we have yes, this is very good. Most days of the week. Yeah, sometimes, most of the days of the week. All right. Yeah, this is very nice to see that even though there could be a lot of workload and maybe tiredness and overload sometime, that actually in the end this is wrapped in this feeling of accomplishment actually, and not with a feeling of not being enough, not being accomplished. So this is something that probably, you can recognize later when I'm talking about burnout or not, and what separates this stress and tiredness that is normal and that we can overcome from burnout, and the feeling accomplished and actually, feeling good most of the time is one of the indicators that this is something that you are able to cope with. All right, thank you so much. I'm very happy to see that most of the people are feeling accomplished at work, and at least most of the days of the week, which is really great. All right, so now we get a little bit more into the mental health aspect of this talk. And what I want to start this today with is to look at the mental health, but from this aspect of it being a spectrum. So a lot of people think about mental health as, black and white situation that, you can be healthy or not healthy. And in biology, and especially in mental health area, we know that everything is a spectrum. So, there is percentage, or there is time when you will feel some symptoms and some time when you will not. So mental health is also part of this spectrum of health and illness. And mentally healthy state, we kind of define it here as a state where you feel generally well and generally fine to cope with the activities or duties, contribute to your work, contribute to your family, and feeling generally good about life. As somebody said, joyful and grateful and happy. Then comes this state of stress. And this is something that we all experienced, if not on a daily basis, then on a weekly basis. So those could be like some professional stresses, there could be, deadlines, there could be presentations, analyzing results, publishing, or also some stresses privately at work, maybe moving, maybe having family member that is sick or in some problem. So this is also something that we face like on a weekly basis. But the fact is that usually we are able to cope with that and return to this healthy state more or less easily on our own. Then comes a period of distress. So this is the period where the stress is taking much longer, and it's not so easy for us to balance the mental healthy state so easily. And this is at the time where maybe somebody will ask for help from, I don't know, from colleagues or maybe a therapist or some coping mechanism that can still help us cope and return to this mental healthy state. Then comes to a state of disease, and this is if the stress, this stress took too long and too big toll on our health that we actually cannot cope anymore on our own and cannot return so easily to this mental healthy state. And this is the time where the disease can be diagnosable. And this is done by a medical health professional, either psychiatrist or psychotherapist, using different psychiatric tools like different questionnaires. However, even if somebody is diagnosed with a mental health disease, using appropriate treatment and therapy, most of the time they also can still, live in mentally healthy state, work the job they like, and contribute to their family and their job. And then the crisis is this the last kind of on this scale, and this is a state where somebody is thinking of harming themselves or harming others, and this is the state where somebody needs to be immediately helped and treated. Otherwise, it can be like the damage that is unrepairable. So this is something that needs to be addressed, and for that, people can go to the emergency service, call the emergency hotline, and refer the friend to go to the hospital. And today, as we're talking about the burnout, burnout is not a disease, but it's actually a syndrome, and the place where we can put burnout is here somewhere in between the stress and the disease. So when we're talking about diseases, then we hear the most refer to mood disorders and anxiety, because this is something the closest to the burnout. And when it comes to diseases, they have very distinct symptoms, and they are affecting everything basically in our body. So mood, so there are different mood changes, body and behavior, and also different they're making different disorder of thoughts. And when it comes to causes of different diseases, stress and trauma are the biggest factors, and then they're also affecting various biological systems in our body. So from immune and endocrine systems to disturbance in sleep, in nutrition and exercise, and so on. And here in mood disorders, those are depression and bipolar disorder, and then anxiety can exist alone or also is highly comorbid. And in general population, the prevalence of depression is around 7% and of anxiety around 6%. However, in the academic population, according to this paper published in 2018, that was kind of a seminal paper in the mental health area in academics, because it brought this topic into the attention of everybody. They surveyed PhD students and master students, and actually there around 40% of people reported symptoms of depression and anxiety, which is strikingly high in comparison to general population. And then when it comes to burnout, one greatest distinction is that burnout is work-related. And it is actually not disease, but this is a syndrome. And symptoms of burnout, they include emotional and physical exhaustion, reduced resilience and adaptability, then cynicism about the work and the colleagues. Remember when I asked about how do you feel about your colleagues? Is it sometimes detached from them and unfriendly? And then also reduced performance in concentration, meaning that the productivity also diminishes. And when it comes to causes, this is something that is related to work and certain activity, whereas having the diseases such as depression and anxiety, it does not have to be related to work. People can have these diseases even before starting their graduate education. But when it comes to burnout, it is very much related to the work. And what are the causes of burnout? Are these chronic stressful environments, chronic stress that is also sometimes feeling without having a control over it, so just being overwhelmed and overburdened with all these different duties. Then also what is very much contributing to the burnout are also like kind of a not good relationships with colleagues. So having bullying or toxic work environments and relationships with colleagues, and the overall work-life imbalance. So when it comes to burnout versus depression and anxiety, as we said, like now somewhere in between, and also according to studies from 2019 and 2020 that were looking specifically if depression and burnout and anxiety, if they overlap, but what these papers said is that they are kind of a distinct entities. And even though burnout can have some symptoms that are similar as depression, like this low mood, exhaustion, irritability, unfriendliness. They are not the same. And here, if somebody is maybe thinking if what they're experiencing is depression or burnout, it's good to be screened for both symptoms of depression and the clinical symptoms of anxiety and depression. And then here there are just like different screening tools that usually psychiatrists or psychotherapists use. And if somebody also just want to investigate this and check, you can Google and then see which one is used for which disease. So my general advice would always be to, if you're in doubt or if you're looking to talk to your medical professional, and then to ask to be screened for both burnout and also depression and or anxiety. So as I already mentioned, is that burnout is not recognized as a disease, but it's a syndrome. And here is the from the World Health Organization, the definition of the burnout as resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. And this is something that you always can think of, is the reason for this burnout or overwhelmed really just work, or is maybe some other life situation? So this can give you a point if this is something is burnout or maybe depression. And then later we will also talk about the management, is that burnout can be managed with lifestyle interventions, whereas depression and anxiety, they cannot easily be managed just with lifestyle interventions, but they require therapy and or medications. And then when it comes to burnout, there are three core characteristics that are here defined as a feeling of energy depletion and exhaustion. So this is something that I asked in one of these questions, like, do you usually feel bored out at the end of your work day? So this feeling of energy depletion and exhaustion is something that one can really the most easily notice. And if this is something is happening 1 week after the other week, after the another week, can serve you as a red light to maybe pause and then see, what kind of situation you are physically and mentally. Then second is increased mental distance from one's job, or feeling of negativism, of cynicism related to one's job. So this is when people start like not liking or like being cynical about their work, even if until yesterday they were kind of fine with this. So this is something also to take a look, if, for example, your current dissatisfaction with work is really because of the work per se, or is it because of the build up burnout that also can like give a very negative outlook of the situation which is normal because this is also something that, tells you to stop with the current way of functioning. But with a properly managing burnout, then this and different approach to work, people can kind of regain their previous love to work, so to say. And then third one is reduced professional efficacy. So all of this, of course, is affecting the performance for somebody at their job. And then this is also something that can be noticeable. So maybe your PI will notice that a lot of things are not delivered on time, that the deadlines were moved. And you will notice probably with yourself that you maybe cannot finish the things that you are planning to do in 1 week, or the projects. And all of these three, if you kind of come to really have all the three, this definitely should be the red light to reassess and to really seriously look at the burnout stage. Whereas you also can have this in mind and monitor your own situation and symptoms from week to week. So if you're seeing that you're going towards these three, then maybe you can slow down a little bit and reassess how you can have a more healthy approach so that you don't get into this burnout cycle. So who can suffer from burnout? We mentioned a lot that it is work related. So basically anybody then who works at a certain activity. And also here the emphasis is on like goal-directed activity. So something that has some sort of like goals, like aims, and like something that you need to accomplish. And this actually can be like very wide range of people. So from PhD students, researcher, master students, to people volunteering, then athletes, then also parenting can lead to burnout. Caregiving, other work, for example, clinicians are very much famous of having like a burnout in the clinics, and actually this problem came into the attention of the academic community actually after a lot of clinicians and like medical students experienced burnout. And also, of course, it's famous from all the work environments. So basically everybody can suffer from burnout. So when we look now a little bit closer into core symptoms and components, first one is about ourselves. So kind of to reflect what actually are we feeling. So when it comes to burnout, it is characterized by this emotional and physical exhaustion. So as I mentioned, it's this like lack of energy, like lack of motivation, then reduced emotional regulation, which means that people can react very impulsively or overreact to the situation that they would previously not really react, or maybe snap at their colleagues or say something that they will regret. And then also like have also this kind of a reduced emotional regulation with themselves, to be maybe easy to, or more easier to maybe cry around certain things that that affect them, or like cry at work or something like this. Then it comes to cognitive impairment, which means that people are not as efficient as their work. So maybe they cannot easily remember a fact. They are not so like proficient in writing, for example, reports or their results as they usually would be. And then also this comes with reduced memory and attention. So forgetting some things related to your work, related to your life. And then all of this can be also coupled with the sleeping problems. So sleeping problems are, this kind of a chicken and egg solution. So they can be a cause, but also a consequence of something. But usually, also, even though people are exhausted and lack energy, there could be sleeping problems where they also cannot properly rest, because maybe they're trying to accomplish and work all this that they need to do, and then they are not even on top of their game cognitively or emotionally, And then this all leads to overworking, and then with sleeping problems. And then, of course, if you're not sleeping properly, then all of this is kind of a feeding into the cycle of emotional physical exhaustion, then reduced regulation and cognitive impairment. So the main thing is here to kind of break this cycle for real. And then the second part is interactions with other people. So something that we already mentioned, especially about this, like distancing from people, being irritated by your colleagues, not giving constructive feedback, but kind of snapping out more, then having the reduced performance, flexibility, which all can be noticeable from other team members and also maybe from your PI. Then being very sensitive towards the criticism also, and then being very cynical about work, about the colleagues, about all the things that are maybe lacking in the work environment, and then now they all come very much into the attention. So all this burnout can cause people to kind of destroy or to in a bad way influence their relations with their colleagues. So which kind of contributes to this whole cycle with having problems with yourself and then also with people around you at work. And as we said, is situational. So again, about the work, about the working environment. And the thing sometimes is that burnout can also go unnoticed. Or maybe people can somehow kind of cover it, is that they're still very highly functional and can manage symptoms, maybe at work much better, maybe at home much better, but at work somehow also try to manage it. And it also depends on which part of career you are. So somebody is, if it's like more cynical or critical, can kind of pass as just like some sort of part of the personality. And then also a lot of people kind of wear this badge of honor of like working too much and maybe being a little bit grumpy and stuff. Maybe that's just like in Germany. But sometimes you have this the full notion of somehow normalizing this whole situation of being, I don't know, dissatisfied, being grumpy, being cynical, and then the symptoms of burnout can maybe somehow cover under all of that. And then the thing is that a lot of people think, okay, everybody is experiencing, it's not a disease, it's not lethal, like, you kind of learn to live with this. But the point is that the quality of life matters. So if you would treat and approach burnout and get out of this, like your quality of life would exchange so much more. So, it's very different life quality of somebody who is overwhelmed, who is tired, and on the other hand, somebody who is joyful, who is grateful, who is accomplished. So of course, both of them, could live, but think which reality would you choose to have your life in. And then also with the burnout, it may not be that every day is different, so is the same, so it may be different. So sometimes people may feel the symptoms more, sometimes less. But the major point is also that the burnout is not static or inevitable. So it is possible to get out of that cycle, to get out of the burnout, learn what are some ways of functioning that work for you the best. And also it's not one dimension. So some person can be burnout on work, but also burnout on the parent level or on the caregiver level. So it's sometimes kind of a decompartmentalized, but it affects people because we are one person and we cannot just like compartmentalize our life and mental health. So as I said already, with causes, it's chronic stress like related to work or other ongoing activities, then lack of control, bullying or toxic work environments and relationships, overall work-life imbalance, and extra job duties but limited authority, and disconnectedness from values. So why this is important is that, as I mentioned like many times, this is sort of the cycle, and like the cycle that kind of feeds one thing to another. And like if we kind of start here at this work exhaustion that leads to overall exhaustion, and then cynicism about the work, about the colleagues, and then withdrawing from social interactions, and then comes lacks of concentration and efficiency, maybe because also of too much work, of overworking, of sleeping problems, which again feeds to this work extension and exhaustion. So this is the cycle, and if you don't pay attention, it can really, take a toll to kind of, suck you in. So as I said, symptoms can worsen these situational causes, and then also this kind of satisfaction and accomplishment can really diminish for people who find themselves in this burnout cycle. And this is like from the survey, the global survey from 2020, that kind of showed the Dragonfly number that around 76% of employees experience burnout at least sometimes. So this is very often, but it doesn't mean that we really need to take it seriously and to work on it. And why it's very important, especially also for, I think, academia or for anybody who is employing people, is because burnout also is like causing people to kind of diminish their immune system activity, so that people are getting more sick and taking more leave days. Then they're also less likely to discuss all of this with their PIs and managers. And then, of course, like people will look for other jobs that will not put all this pressure on themselves. And here, like during the pandemic, there was a survey where actually academics were facing even more stress and burnout than previously. And around 50% of people said that they were seriously considering to change their career path or retire early, which really, I think, says like a lot how mental health problems in academia and this highly stressful environment and burnout that people experience can lead people outside of it, and which will be the loss also for academia in general. So now to kind of like the good things, like what actually helps, because one thing that is maybe a bit easier when it comes to burnout is that the solutions are more accessible, and it's something that we can change easier and get better much faster than when it comes to other mental health disorders. So what helps? So first of all, care about yourself. And here we also like to emphasize the kind of overall social support to build healthy academic work environment. So not just self-care, even though self-care is something that we have to start first on, because this is something that we have the most control. So taking breaks, taking vacations, meaning like breaks, kind of take breaks throughout the day. And here's something that we have as a recommendation, to kind of have for every 50 minutes of work, like around 10 minutes of break. And then this also means that, throughout the year, you also have like, I don't know, some sort of vacations or longer weekends or something throughout the year, so that this whole like work toll will not kind of pile up and lead you to the exhaustion and burnout. So kind of take regular breaks, both in your work day, but also in your overall life. And then if it is possible, have this kind of as some sort of joyful activity. I don't know, like have a coffee with your colleague or with your family member, like attend the events that your, I don't know, friends or family are hosting, like have vacations, have the joyful time, so that you can also recharge and then also get back like in much better condition with yourself and for your work. That I guess all of us like to, we are still in academia because we do like the research. And then what also really helps if the work is too much, it's taking maybe sometimes that PIs do not acknowledge, or they're not aware maybe how many tasks PhD or master students have. So the good thing is to maybe talk to them and see how many hours do you really need to accomplish something, and then also to prioritize certain tasks. Maybe it's not possible to do, I don't know, both experiment and paper and go to conference and, I don't know, write another protocol or something like this. But maybe see, okay, what's the priority? Maybe the paper is the priority, or maybe poster for conference is priority, but something to reshift, and then to kind of have thing that is the best for you, kind of a delivered, but also with a time that is kind of a reasonable. And then other thing that we always like to mention is kind of this community support, and support that comes like from maybe your own lab to the institute to all of us who can also connect online, to build support and build better relationships at work, because everything is like much easier if we can share it with somebody, but also to get the advice. And maybe sometimes your colleague or your friend will be the one who will notice that you are burnout, or maybe that you are on this kind of a way to burnout, that you're working too much, that you don't have time for your commitments. And maybe this friend also will be able to say, okay, maybe let's have a coffee, maybe let's try to reorganize what you're having to work. Did you take vacation? How is everything going on? So I encourage all of you to check a little bit, not only with yourself but with your colleagues. And if you see somebody that is struggling, that is maybe staying every day later at work, check with them and help them maybe to reorganize their day, and maybe encourage them to take a vacation or to talk with their boss. And then some things that help, that you hear in the public discourse, about meditation, about mindfulness, sleep and exercise. So those are all some amazing tools to enhance the well-being, but I would always say they are the best prevention tools. So I would always say, start doing some of these things, like the kind of having the healthy lifestyle, having a few moments to maybe close your eyes or meditate or pray or something like this throughout the day, just to kind of reconnect. And this is something that, especially when it comes to burnout, can help a lot to regain your time, to regain your healthy lifestyle, to slow down. This is something that may not be the most helpful for mental health diseases, where the other kind of treatment needs to be taken, like a therapy or medication. But when it comes to burnout, all these things like self-care, mindfulness, exercise, vacation, those are really beneficial. And this can also serve for somebody who is thinking, I don't know, are they maybe depressed or burnout? Is if they take vacation, if they sleep better, if they rest, then the symptoms should improve. Whereas if somebody is having depression, the symptoms will not improve just by doing mindfulness and exercise, but can definitely help. And then there are some other advice from people from the Dragonfly mental health, which I find really nice to share. So what people from our community said is that we should not try to internalize burnout as a failure, because this is kind of a consequence of the system that expects people to work long hours and to sacrifice their personal lives, and also not to carry this burnout as some sort of like badge of honor that you are working and contributing so much, where it actually can just like negatively impact your life. And then also to create your own ways how to detach from stress, like find out what are the ways that work for you. Is it, I don't know, spending time in nature, spending time with your maybe friends and family, going out for a walk, running, or maybe doing mindfulness, reading a book, listening to music. So all of us have our own way that are the best for us to recharge. So see what actually works for you the best. And then also to normalize conversations about the mental health. All of these things are kind of a very, very common, not the common, but they are the rule. They're not the exception. And the more we talk about this, the more we can learn how to prevent it, how to deal with it, and to also release ourselves from this stigma that it's something that is just like our own failure or something that actually can isolate us even more. And this isolation is something that it can be very prevalent in academia, where sometimes people are just working on their own projects and then maybe staying late and then seeing themselves as a failure if their project is not working. So this community approach and supporting each other really is there to, help us, but also help us fight this isolation. And then somebody says that we should look at ourselves as a tree, as a plant, basically, to give what is needed. So from sun, from water, from air, nutrients, grounding, and space. And you may see that a lot of times we actually working in academic environment kind of don't have all these very basic things. So I don't know, get out on the sun while there is, while the autumn did not get too much. I mean, at least here in Germany. But think of yourself like sometime as your own friend, and give yourself advice in that kind of sense. So we are coming to the end of the session, and just one last thing before discussion. I just wanted to ask you, what could be like the word or the sentence that will stay with you after this talk? What's something that you will bring out home from this little talk? I hope it was informative and useful. And then also you can post your questions in chat or any way you find them easy. I will try to answer them. Be kind to yourself and others. Yeah, I support self-care. Yes.
So I think as people are answering that, first of all, I want to say thank you, because I think everyone who's working in academia needs to hear this talk, because even if they are not the ones that are feeling the burnout, after this talk, we could easily like detect it in others and be kind to others, because usually when talking from my experience, and now I think that this is burnout, this is someone that's burned out, is that someone who suddenly becomes, as we see, lazy, not completing their tasks, not participating in they basically don't care. So what we usually interpret that with is, this person is lazy, this person has, is just want to ride on the success of others. We don't be kind. We're not kind to others. But I'm pretty sure that everyone who has these symptoms, or most of people who have these symptoms, are just burnt out, and they actually need us to hold their hands instead of, like talking to them as if they're lazy, or as if they're, not doing their job. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I absolutely agree. Everybody is going through something, and we kind of forget like just a glimpse of their day, their mood. And the thing is that a lot of these symptoms of burnout really can be hidden under this irritability, inflexibility, in cynicism, and stuff that kind of can like look very repelling to us if we are on the receiving end. But then if we think what actually may have caused this, then we come to this kind of a human point of view, and then recognizing this other person, that actually maybe this person is struggling, maybe this person is not like just being like mean to us and like not caring, and as you said, like lazy and so on. So yeah, like I absolutely agree with you that there can be so much more behind, and that it's maybe worth talking to somebody and seeing if we can at least be some kind of a helping hand, or maybe if this is like our colleague or friend who until recently was all fine to us, but now it's very detached or very mean, or maybe it's not delivering things, to be like, okay, how are you doing? Sometimes that's a really good question to start.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, the current system is sort of, applaud the behaviors that lead to burnout, when someone is staying late in the lab, when someone, is working a lot, like the stakeholders and, the administration think of that person as, being a hard worker. And then you somehow find yourself, if you're burnout, you get compared to that person. And I think this feeds to that cycle that you talked about, that you feel that you're not a good person, that you're not accomplished because other people can do it, but why not me? Yeah, so I think this should, I really think that all the administrators, and the stakeholders should listen to talks like this, because they should not encourage that. They should encourage someone to have a good work-life balance instead of, asking for everyone to spend their whole day in the lab or in work.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that a lot of, for example, new people who are just starting like their PhD or master, they get to see this as a sort of a certain role model or something that's expected from them. Whereas we should actually emphasize like this work-life balance, and it can start from us, by if we are in the position to be a role model, especially to younger students or scientists, to kind of model this, to model the healthy approach, to not model staying every day over hours, working every weekend. It can happen to all of us, of course, that sometimes you need to work a weekend, sometimes you need to stay longer, but that should not be the rule. That should not be every day. That should not be every time. And we should not demonstrate this if we are in this position of power, that we are, I don't know, like a professor or like a postdoc or somebody, to model this for younger colleagues. And I really hope that some of the senior professors, they would get information about this and get trained, and then maybe see that they maybe, even if not wanting, that they perpetuate some of these old standards that actually created this toxic environment in academia. But then on the other hand, I also always come from this, that we can start from us, and then we can start to bring this change, so that, I don't know, later on when we are professors and when we are academic stakeholders, we can give these examples and emphasize work-life balance and emphasize healthy approach to work.
Yeah, exactly. I think like working from the ground up, because those at the ground roots now are eventually going to be those at the top. And I think the reason why we wanted this talk in our training program, because all of the trainees after the training program are expected to go and deliver what they've learned to their community. And we know that we already, like from the information that we know, the community is resistant. The community, is not going to be kind. So this is why we insisted on having this session, so that everyone would be able to detect when they are burnt out, and just pause and regain their composure and regain their mental stability before moving forward. So thank you very much, Jelena. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really happy to do a small part in certain change, and I think this is also how we can work, like contributing a little bit and starting from ourselves, and then bringing that to our communities around the world, and then change will happen. I also really think so. So thank you all for contributing and for listening. And if there is any more question or comment, let me know. If not, I will just invite you to reach out to Dragonfly. if you have any other thoughts or comments or want to collaborate, and also reach out to me personally, and I hope we stay in touch all.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Jelena, and thank you for everyone from Dragonfly. They're really doing such an amazing job. We cannot thank you enough. And yeah, I think we'll see you. We have also a session on burnout for our larger community next week. So it's really exciting to bring this to even a larger audience from Africa. But thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Jelena.
Yes.
It was nice
Have a
having
great
you.
day, rest of the day, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, everyone. Thank you all for joining and staying 10 minutes over time.
Thank
But the
you,
discussion
Larissa.
was really
Thank you,
nice.
everyone.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll see you again next week. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.